Skyrim, a game which was initially released nearly 13 years ago, has about 16 different re-releases and millions upon millions of mods for it. There's literally a mod for everything, from replacing the dragons in the game with Thomas the Tank Engine, to a mod which instantly gives the Dragonborn a fatal heart attack. I've played hundreds of hours of Skyrim, from the original version on Xbox to the Special Edition and even the Anniversary Edition on PC. Todd Howard really has managed to milk this game for everything that it's got. With so many mods to choose from, it's easy to get overwhelmed when you're deciding what kind of mod setup you're going to have for your next playthrough. I've played plenty of mod setups from Vanilla Plus to the monster 300GB overhauls which you can find on Wabbajack. But in my opinion, the best way to play the game is not to have over 2000 mods loaded, it's actually to have a few light mods loaded with no fast travel and a survival mod being the key mod / creation of the playthrough. Usually this is not something I would play, the survival mod, but Bethesda gave me their survival mod / creation for free and I decided to give it a try. On a side note, I know that Bethesda calls them creations, but we all know they're mods and the paid ones are just paid mods. That's a whole thing that was drama ages ago, I'm not going to touch on it here. If you don't want to fork over cash to Bethesda, and wouldn't blame you for that, there's plenty of other survival mods out there, including one called I Need. Today I want to convince you that not only does a survival mod / creation make the game way more interesting, but in fact it is actually the best way to play the game, and you can even add all of the weapon, lighting and graphical mods, and maybe even some of the degenerate ones too, on top of the survival creation / mod. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. Probably a good idea to explain what I actually mean by a survival mod and what features I think are required for a good one. First off, I would say that the playthrough requires you to abstain from using the fast travel function in the game. I would say that even though the no fast travel is essential for this playthrough, perhaps even being the most important part of it, it is not necessary for the no fast travel restriction to be in the mod. You can impose the no fast travel onto yourself, although if the fast travel mechanic is available, you may be tempted to use it.
Yeah. After all, why not? Why shouldn't I keep it?
I think you should leave the ring behind, Wilma.
The need to tend to your character's hunger, thirst and fatigue is an absolute requirement for this playthrough. With the mod I am using / creation, if the player does not eat, drink and sleep on regular occasions, or on a regular basis rather, then their strength, health, magicka levels will be reduced. If the player does not eat or drink for a long enough time, the Dragonborn will become incredibly weak and it will be easy for the Dragonborn to be killed. In the very early game, this can be an issue when you have a very limited supply of septims, but it serves to add a challenge to the game where you need to make sure you have enough supplies on hand, as well as needing to stop and rest in every game day or two. I believe it also helps you ground you in the game. You're not some superhuman who can push on forever without food, water or rest. It requires you to visit inns and taverns to rest and resupply. In my most recent survival playthrough, I wasted so much of my gold on a new sword and some potions that I was forced to steal some food from stalls and farms in order to keep my character's health up, and so I didn't face other negative consequences. The survival mod that I'm using also includes temperature and exposure. If your character gets too cold, then they are afflicted with a debuff, which drains your health at an alarming rate. I would say that this is a great addition to the mod, but I understand that some people may dislike this feature, so I would ultimately mark it as optional. If you do not want to have it in the game, you will need to use the I Need mod instead of Bethesda's survival mod, as Bethesda's survival mod is not modular in the way it works. The hardest part of this playthrough to swallow is probably the no fast travel. It's so easy and convenient to use the fast travel and cart system in Skyrim to get where you want to go very quickly. The desire to teleport around the map without taking in any of the sights of Skyrim probably comes from the fact that our attention spans have been absolutely fried by social media. In my opinion, one of the best parts of Skyrim is the game world. It's no coincidence that I criticise Bethesda very strongly for the lack of exploration and repetitiveness, and a boring world and dungeon design in that other video that I did. Shameless plug, please watch it and subscribe. The game world of Skyrim truly is a masterpiece, full of small details which make the game come alive. You are truly missing out if you fast travel from place to place to complete quests. Take this run for example. So we're starting off in Solitude and we're trying to make our way to Riverwood because Delphine stole the horn of Jurgen Collar. So we're just going to set out on foot. I'm going to do a lot of fast forward in this video. So we're just walking along this main path, minding our own business, and then we come across these people. One of them offers me a wee drink, and you know, my Khajiit, he's partial to a bit of a drink, so you know, obviously he says yes to a free drink, never to say no to anything which is free. Then unfortunately we get attacked by a troll. You know, quite a lot of people hacking away at it, but unfortunately the Reveler gets killed. But the good news is that we get the free mead off his body. We get 2 more bottles. And then we come across this red guard which is dead on the road. There's Falmer arrows by the horse there, so probably a Falmer cave nearby. We're just looking to go, so we ignore it and go. And just a couple more fights here, a couple of bandits, some wolves there. Dispatch them pretty quickly. Some more gold and bandits. Going through Rorikstead here, I robbed the farm on the tundra plains, and here we spot a giant, and what we're wanting to do is we need some giant toes for a potion. I'm a mad alchemist, you probably have noticed that from all the stuff that I've been picking up off the ground. And you know, Inigo has the clutch here, he headshots him and kills him pretty quick. So I just, you know, loot his body. I'm changing my things. And then I just loot his body, pull his toe off and take some of my fire arrows back. And then we're firing on again. I spotted a cave in the distance and I kind of wanted to go to it, just check it out. I've cut that out this video, so we go in the cave right now. And then the video resumes when we come back out. And so we're heading around to Lake Illinalta. Just heading through some forest here, and then we come across this mill, and I noticed that the person was a vampire, so I thought, no, let's maybe rob her blind. So I steal some stuff or just take some stuff, and I decided to pickpocket her. And unfortunately that didn't go too well, so Inigo murders her. And you know what, I think, well, hell, let's just rob the house as well. We've got our key. So we fire inside the house and take all the shit that we can, everything that's not nailed down. There's not really anything good here, to be honest, so there's not really a whole lot to take. And then we're just continuing on to Riverwood. And this is the final thing of the whole video, the final random encounter. This guy calls me a milk drinker, and I don't really like that, even though I do like a wee glass of milk. I'm partial to a glass of milk, but you know, he insulted us, so he has to die. I chop his head off, send him packing, and just take his shit. Couple more fights, clear out a bandit camp, got a treasure map there. I'm pretty sure I've already got the treasure. And then we arrive in Riverwood, ready to get the horn of Jurgen Collar off of Delphine, and then maybe, hopefully, send her packing too.
Oh yeah? And what would you rather do?
That run took a total of 23 minutes to complete, when you don't include the time I spent in the cave. One of the main things that you're missing if you just fast travel and use the cart to get from place to place is the random encounters. During that run, I got the random encounter which the Reveler wants you to have a mead with him. Then we were launched into a fight where he sadly lost his life, but fortunately for me I got all of his stuff for free. There are 95 random encounters in total in the game, and there are some that I had not seen before I did this survival run. There is a list of the random encounters which you can find on the internet if you want to look at them all, but I'm not going to share it here because I don't want to spoil anything, because there's some really cool ones. You're also missing out on the experience the wilderness of Skyrim. There are so many mountains to climb, vistas to see, and enemies to kill, and very importantly, stuff to steal. Whilst I know you can experience the wilderness on any run, the fact that in a normal playthrough you are never more than a loading screen away from a safe town where you can drop your loot and resupply takes quite a lot of the danger out of it. With the survival run, you are just out there. If you're dying from the cold or from hunger, you can't just fast travel to a town, you have to deal with it yourself. If you play with no fast travel, I will guarantee that 95% of you will see something or experience something in the wilderness which you have never seen before in Skyrim. If you are a bit on the impatient side and you do want to give the no fast travel playthrough a go, I would recommend either that you learn the console command for spawning a horse, or that you get a mod which has a summon horse spell in it. I understand that you may be surprised that I'm advocating for the use of a console command in a survival run, but the way that the horse mechanic works in game is that the horse that you own spawns with you when you fast travel. Without the use of fast travel, it's very easy to lose your horse. Many of the horses I have purchased over the course of my multiple survival playthroughs are now free in the wild. I will never see them again. I think it's fair to be able to use the console to fill in the gap so you actually have a horse. You can also use the cart system if you wish, but that kind of defeats the purpose of the no fast travel. I'll only really use the carts to travel around a few times for missions such as that quest, A Night to Remember, where you go drinking with the Daedric Prince and then you need to go around travelling all over the map talking to people. I just think that there's too much travelling for a little reward in that quest, so I'll allow it there for myself. But otherwise I would always, walk or ride my horse. One of the things I love about the no fast travel run is that it really makes you appreciate the time that you're in a town or a settlement a lot more. Where before you were no more than a loading screen away from a town, now if you want to go to a town you need to use your legs to get there. This means that before you leave a town, you really need to consider whether you have enough supplies or if you need some rest. Usually this means going to a tavern to get a meal and a bed. I like doing this as it really humanises the world and grounds you. Plus, now that I've visited all of the taverns in Skyrim, I've mopped up quite a lot of quests which I previously have missed. Seriously, there's a lot of quests which start in taverns and inns. You should check them all out for sure. You also need to consider if you've got too many things in your inventory or if you need to sell something. I feel like the no fast travel makes you appreciate the towns so much more. They aren't just a place to run through. You need to spend a bit of time and make sure that you're ready to go back out into the dangerous wilderness. Especially if you're on the harder difficulties, as forgetting to buy healing potions or food can be brutal for you if you're going somewhere where they're not available. The need for food, water and sleep really just adds to the no fast travel component of the survival playthrough. It forces you to be tactical with your resources. Before playing survival, I had never really done any cooking in Skyrim, but now I'm like a proper chef, cooking the shit out of some broth or frying a bit of salmon to perfection.
It's not even pink, it's raw!
And Coop has delivered undercooked salmon.
As I previously mentioned, when you're out of the settlements and in the wilderness, if you run out of food, you really need to be creative in order to try and get some food. This means that you either have to find a farm to rob, find bandits to kill and take their food for them, or do a bit of hunting, which was really interesting because, I've never really done hunting on Skyrim on purpose. Usually it's just if an elk runs in front of me, I might shoot them, but in this game it's, looking for rabbits, goats and the elk, trying to see if I can find it to get some food. The addition of being able to be affected by cold temperatures is a really cool one, no pun intended. Each piece of clothing that you wear has a stat called warmth, which controls how exposed you are to the elements. Some items of clothing which offer the best warmth often offer little or no armour to the Dragonborn, meaning that if you're in the colded places, you will often need to balance armour with warmth, choosing some sort of trade-off where maybe you've got less armour but you're able to keep warmer. I often found myself in the most northern and snowy parts of Skyrim, running through the wilderness, dying from the cold, looking for places to warm up, such as a cave or a fire. I think it's a really cool idea and system, and it makes some of the areas in the map feel very dangerous to the player. It's easy to become so strong in Skyrim that nothing can ever kill you, but the addition of being affected by cold temperatures can make it so that the Dragonborn is able to feel vulnerable again. In this section of the video, I'm going to recommend a few mods which are good when paired with Bethesda's survival mod. The first mod I would recommend is a map mod, which shows the roads more clearly. This is useful as you can plan your journey easier. It also shows roads which you previously may not have known exist. The mod that I'm using is called A Quality World Map with a Vivid Stone Roads, a very creative name. It can get quite lonely on the road, so the second mod that I would recommend is a companion mod called Inigo. I'm sure lots of you have already heard of this mod, and it's even won an award, but if you haven't heard of it, I'll give you a brief overview on why I chose Inigo as my companion. I consider him to be the best companion that you can mod into the game. He has interesting dialogue. He's way more varied than any other companion in the vanilla game. He'll often comment on things like caves that you're going through, which gives an interesting, perspective on the game.
Weren't expecting that, were you? This is fun.
I really like the mod, and even if you're not gonna do the survival playthrough, I'd still recommend that you give it a try. The final mod that I'd recommend is a mod which allows you to have extra carry weight for the Dragonborn, such as a backpack or bandolier mod. As I have the Anniversary Edition, I got duped into it. I used the one titled Adventurer's Backpack. These backpacks give you some breathing room in the game with your carry weight, especially as in the beginning of the game it can be brutal to carry all your stuff around, where you have almost no carry weight when you think about heavy armour, swords and arrows and just a little bit of loot. You can be up shit creek quite easily, so the backpack mod can be a bit of a saviour there. In conclusion, as I've been saying the whole video, the survival run is a great way to relive and re-experience Skyrim. My first survival playthrough took 110 hours to complete, so it's a great way to squeeze some more playtime from the game. One of the best things about this is that all of the mods which I've mentioned are available on console as well as PC, so even on console, those players can even experience Skyrim this way. I think that you should try it, and if you do, please leave a comment down below on how you find it and what your experience was. I certainly think that people that do try it will get a fresh perspective on the game world of Skyrim and the challenge of the food and the elements, as well as needing to rest, will ground them in the world and make them appreciate Skyrim even more in the game world. What a masterpiece it actually is. But thanks for watching. Please comment, like and subscribe for more content.